Well, welcome to my student-led conference. Mom, Dad, this is my crew teacher, Mrs. Smith. Mrs. Smith, this is my dad, Mark and Julie Erickson.
Hi.
Today I'm going to show you what my favorite items I did was to present to you. So this is for trimester 2. My crew teacher was Mrs. Smith and Mrs. Parlier. My first item I chose was the Battle of Antietam that we put in the Harper's Weekly newspaper. We had to write a big article in it because we were in a newspaper group, and we had to show one of the battles or a topic, person, item, or event during the Civil War. So I chose the Battle of Antietam to do during 1862. What we had to do for this article was I had to gather information about it so I could put it in the Harper's Weekly newspaper. I gathered the who, what, and why for the Battle of Antietam from different websites, and I put them together in a paragraph so they would be in a sequenced essay, which was displayed at the Celebration of Learning. I chose to share this assignment because I worked really hard on this time-consuming project for my expedition work, and so we had to show it to the 5th and 6th graders today at the Celebration of Learning, and I think I did really good on it. I'm really proud. The learning targets for this was I can write informatively about my selected research topic. I can use primary and secondary sources to research a topic, person, or event in the Civil War. And the third one was I can research and create a newspaper article on a specific topic, person, or event of the Civil War. My second artifact I chose was Bits and Pieces 3, Investigation 3. And what we had to do for this assignment was we had to work on decimals and fractions, and we had to align them on a ruler and number lines. And then we had this one problem where we had to order them from least to greatest and show the different place values and explain how we got our answers. I chose to share this quiz because it was one of my highest scores. On this one, I got an extra credit point on one of the problems. So this quiz was one of my best out of trimester 2, so I'm very proud of that one. The learning target for this test was I can use fractions and decimals to compare numbers. My third artifact I chose was our electricity unit test. I chose this one because I was kind of struggling before the test. So I tried my best to study the night before, so I studied until I got every one question right on my study questions. And when I was surprised to see that I got a 27 out of 27, which was 100% when I was done with my test. The learning target for this was I can explain how electricity works. We had to fill in the multiple choice for 11 questions, which were about the laws of electric charge, series circuits, parallel circuits, switches, electrons, voltmeter, ohmmeter, and how electricity flows. The rest of the questions were short answer questions, and we had to show about how to operate circuits, like series circuits and parallel circuits, and explain what they were and what would happen if a light bulb was unscrewed. My next item I chose was My Cinquain poem for English. What we had to do was, for line number 1, we had to choose one word that is the topic. And on line 2, we used 2 words that describe the topic. Line 3 was 3 words that describes the actions related to my topic. And on line 4, we had to choose words that describe the feelings relating to my topic, and on line 5, we had to use one word that is another word for my topic, which was a synonym. I chose to share this poem because I wanted to show that in the North, before the Civil War, there was also slavery, and even after the Civil War, there was slavery in the North. It was called labor, where people would have enslaved workers, and they would be in really bad working conditions. So the learning targets for this poem was I could use word choice to elicit emotion, and I can use poetic devices to convey emotion. Do you want me to share my poem with you guys?
Sure.
Absolutely.
The North's Way of Slavery by Kayla Erickson. Labor, dangerous, depriving, enslaving factory workers. Hard work, petty wages, slavery.
Very good. Next.
My next artifact I chose was the transparent, translucent, and opaque lab debris. I struggled this one quite a bit, so that's why I chose this one. For this one, we had to have 3 different pictures showing wax paper, transparent, which is transparent, and translucent and opaque paper. So it'd be black paper, wax paper, and clear paper. So after we took the pictures, we had to describe like what this is showing, and we had to show how it is transparent, translucent, or opaque. And then we also had to do a drawing for how, like, what would happen with black opaque paper and a flashlight. So this is what I drew right here, showing that it doesn't go through to the other side. The learning target for this was I can describe what transparent, translucent, and opaque means, referring to light. I chose this assignment because I had trouble trying to get a hold of one of the photos, which was going like through the plastic, which was transparent. And I was a little bummed out because I got docked a point because I didn't have that photo. So next time I'm going to be more well prepared and responsible and make sure I have everything I need. My next item I chose was my poem for 2 voices for the vocal presentation. I chose this assignment because I struggled a little bit with how I really vocally presented my poem. I didn't put enough feeling into it, and I didn't act as if I were like the person in the poem. So I'm going to do a little bit harder working on that part. And I'm going to pretend as if I'm the one in the poem. What we had to do for this assignment, we had to have 2 different voices, and we had to gather information about the Children's Crusade. And we had to form 2 different voices or opinions from what happened. So I chose the police officer and one of the African Americans that marched in the parade that one day. And I wrote how they would have experienced it, like with the kids and how they got fire hosed and bitten by dogs because they were marching for their freedoms and against segregation. But where the police officers, they wanted segregation. They wanted to stop the kids from marching. They arrest many thousands of kids for this one. The learning target was I can use word choice to elicit emotion, and I can use poetic devices to convey emotion. My next one I did was the hot blast tubular lantern. What we had to do for science was we had to pick an invention that relates to sound or light. Then we had to research the invention and make a slide showing like where it was invented, why it was invented, a fact about it, who invented it, and the connection, and when it was invented. I chose the hot blast tubular lantern because it was a good way for people to get around in the dark, and they used it back before the Civil War, during the Civil War, especially on railroads and on farms, to see in the dark. My next one I chose was my bio poem about Jesse Jackson. What we had to do for my bio poem presentation was I had to gather information about Jesse Jackson and write a bio poem about his life. Then I had to write 9 different sentences about where he was born in, what he lived in, what he worked as, what he was challenged by, how he was determined, what he always did, what he never did, and what he was best known for. The learning targets for this one was I can use word choice to elicit emotion, and I can use poetic devices to convey emotion. I chose this assignment because I struggled a little bit trying to put my poem together. It took me 4 hours because it was hard for me to find what he worked as, because like I searched on sites and sites and I could never find what he worked as. But I finally came up that he worked in Operation Breadbasket with Martin Luther King Jr., which was where they would boycott different restaurants that had segregation. So that's why I chose that one, and I'm really proud of it once it's done, and I think I did a really good job on that one. My next one here is my choice of artifact, which was my gym assignment we had to do. What we had to do for gym class, we had to wear a pedometer on our shorts to keep track of how many steps we did in each gym class. And we also had to do dots. There was 5 dots, and you had to do 5 different types of jumps. And one of your partners would time you while the other one counted the misses. And you would just add the misses to your time, which would be your final time. And we also had to use medicine ball weights to do sit-ups. We had 3 partners as well. One would do the sit-up with the ball, and then he would throw it to the person that stands in front of him, who would throw it back to them, and they'd do the sit-up again. And then the third person would just count for them. I chose this assignment because I wanted to show how we had to keep track of our fitness for gym class. I'm very proud to share my times and scores for dots and the amount of steps on my pedometer, and the medicine ball I used. I also wanted to tell you what we've been doing in golf for the past 2 weeks. What we've been doing is we've been using the green carpets and trying to use putters and different clubs to show how we can use how they can get different speeds and where they go for where they can aim the golf ball. This is my my Conserve Water for Life poster. What we had to do for this assignment was we had to come up with a poster that promotes water conservation for life, and the poster had to be put in a contest against other kids' posters throughout the state of Wisconsin. And we had to make it our own and creative. We had to color it. And I chose this artifact because I think it really promotes water conservation, and I'm hoping that it will inspire others to promote water conservation, because there's only 1% of water that's fresh water that everybody uses for their everyday needs. I chose this artifact because the water conservation poster was very hard for me to do. I worked really hard on it, and I wanted it. I really liked it, and I wanted it to do well in the contest, but most of all, I wanted people to start saving water. The learning targets for this was I can artistically design a poster that promotes water conservation. Today in the celebration of learning, they picked the posters that best promotes water conservation, and they picked mine for the 6th graders, so I was pretty proud of that.
That's
They
congratulations.
are submitting actually 3 to the state contest. So Caleb, yours is one of those 3 up there. Those are the ones that go to the state level.
That makes me feel good.
That's
Yeah,
nice.
it was very good.
These are my map scores we did for the spring of 2011, the fall, winter, and spring of 2012. So here in the spring, for my, for my reading, I got 232 in 5th grade. I went down a little in the beginning of fall because I didn't practice as much reading as I did in the summer, but I got 230 here. And then I went up a whole 6 points because normally they expect you only to jump up 3 points. But I was really proud of that I got back in the groove of things to 236. So I'm pretty proud of that one. In my language one, in spring, I got 229, and I stayed the same through fall. It was 229 again. And then I was really surprised to see, because normally I struggle with this one, I got 239. I jumped up 10 points, so I was really, really proud of that one, because normally I don't do so well on that one, but I think that one was one of my best for this year. And then for math, I've been going down a little bit, but the tests are different because the 5th grade tests are a little bit easier than like the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade tests. So in the spring, I had 257, and I dropped down to 250, but I did my best on that. And then I went down 3 points, but I think I can improve points next time to 247. I'm hoping to improve at least 3 points on each time.
You're grounded.
Grade level for the math test is actually in the low 220s. So right now she's above the 8th grade level in the
That's
math
good.
test. And
This is my next slide. I wanted to show what work habits I've improved on during trimester 2. The work habit that I improved on most was checking over my work, because I used to check over my work, but I didn't check over it as closely. And this helped me a lot because now I understand more like what I've done, so I know for future problems that are similar, I can solve them easier. And that was my best work habit that I've improved on, I'd say, this trimester. My trimester 3 goal is I maybe want to make sure that teachers like have my work and I get full credit for what I've done, because like what I showed, I didn't have some of the pictures done, so I want to make sure like my teachers have all my work. So I will aim at my target to be the best that I can be. So I got a target
Oh,
and
cute.
arrow, so
Like
I'm
that.
gonna do my best to do it, and I can and will achieve my goal. So I'm gonna do the best that I can.
Very good.
Do you guys have any questions?
Okay, quick question. How come you chose things that maybe that you struggled on versus things that you maybe you thought you did really awesome on?
Well, actually, I did choose the same amount. I chose a different variety. I chose ones that I think I did really well on. I chose 4 of those. And I chose 4 that I kind of struggled with a little bit. And I also chose 4 of my choice, and I used my MAPS test for these.
Very, I thought you did an excellent
You
job.
did very well.
Yeah, and we gave them a guideline. You know, we didn't want them only to talk about the things that were really easy for them, but we wanted them to also talk about the things that were more challenging, even if they did well on it, just to let you know that there were some things that
Yeah.
they had to work a
Yeah.
little bit more for.
So thank you guys very much for coming to my student-led conference. I really appreciated it.
Well, thank you. You did a
Thank you.
wonderful job.
Thank you,
Very
Kaylee. You
good.
did a great job.
Yeah.
And thanks for letting me video.